Recording started. Mens den der er stygg... Nei, ok. Det er egentlig recording allerede. Hører du at jeg snakker?
Ja, jeg hører det fint.
Okay. Oh, so we skaper intrig. Wow, okay. It was actually already recording, but I'm always the advocate of authenticity. So actually, I started speaking Norwegian, and I again and again commented my not favorite color of mine that I put in my intro video, my beautiful audience. So I'm promising you to change that, because I'm commenting already 4th time that I don't like it, and I don't not doing anything. But we are so colorful with my guest today, so we don't need actually any intro, any special spices, because he's so colorful himself. So that's why it's totally okay to have a little special, I don't know, not everything should be really polished, right, in our lives. So, okay. Welcome to the show. It was a long time. Actually, I tried to get you into my show, and it's not like you didn't want, but we know everything should be in the right timing. And welcome. I'm so honored. I'm so privileged. I'm so happy. And actually, I've been writing my podcast now almost 1 year, and definitely I wanted to capture you. You are the most attractive, I don't know, specialty of Norway, because actually I don't have Norwegian guests. You are my second one in 2025, and you are I believe the one and only of Norwegians this year.
Wow.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Oria.
Yes. And today's titles: Find Your Everyday Courage and Overcome Your Fears with Mr. Modig. And for my international audience, Mr. Modig actually means Mr. Brave. And he really is, believe me, living here in this country with so homogeneous society and kind of special approach to be different. He's so different. And I'm so happy when first time I met him that he's actually a little bit crazy like me, because he was a very pink outfit, and I'm like, oh my god, that's my guy. I need to get to know who is this guy. So welcome to Diversity, the Game Changer podcast, where we dive really deep into how diversity of backgrounds, thoughts, and mindsets transform leadership, culture, and everyday life. And today's episode about diversity and courage, the courage to be different, to be unique, to be the most important then to be yourself, and the courage to create environments where everyone can thrive. So, and today I'm deeply honored, like I already said, to welcome our unique guest who truly embodies that courage. Please help me to welcome the one and only Mr. Modig, or Mr. Brave, or in Norwegian, Svein, Harald, Røine. He is so known as a Mr. Modig and Mr. Best, with best outfits.
Best dressed man in Norway.
Best dressed man. Oh my God. So cool. And our guest is not just only of one of Norwegians and Norway's most respected, influential, popular, powerful, inspiring voices in leadership and performance, but also awarded Best Speaker in Norway for several years, listed among Norway's most sought-after speakers and most popular moderators by numerous prestigious institutions. You Norwegian, I know you are so modest guys that you actually, when people start like talking a lot about you're getting like more and more reddish, but it's not. I do love so much. I can really praise so much about you, and you're already in that position that so you will not be like really ready. She's like, yes, I'm encouraged to take all these praises, right? Because it's also sometimes difficult when people talk about you so warmly, Norwegian, and many people actually say, no, it's not me, it's like that. But we should actually start. So yes, I'm diverse, I'm unique, that's me. So founder and podcast host of the very, very popular podcast, Mr. Modig Podcast, exploring again courage, leadership, human potential, and importance of harnessing strong collaboration. But beyond all these titles and achievements, I could, of course, go on further and further. What truly defines today's guest is his ability to combine diversity of thoughts, outfits, courage, human insight into real lasting change. But what really sets Mr. Moody apart from everybody, at least I have experienced keynote speaking, and I was witnessing yours, lucky me. But not the message, actually, your delivery, but actually how you do it. People don't just sit and listen. They move, they act, they really are in interaction with you. And after your workshops, participants really can say, I've never experienced anything like that, and I can use this today. So your actually work, Svein, is not theory. It's lived, embodied, and deeply human. So welcome again to the show. And yes, it's a privilege to have you here today. You like your intro?
I love the introduction. Wow. I think I should bring you along everywhere I go because you can introduce me so well. So that was
Yes,
really fantastic. Thank you very
I
much.
can be like, we call it in Norwegian, some warming. I can be on you heating up,
Yeah.
pre-production. Just okay. Come on,
You warm
Valeria,
up
let's
you warm
go.
up the audience. You warm up the audience.
Oh yes, I can do that. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Then, but before all that, we know I was again. I've pointed it so brilliantly. I was witnessing, lucky enough, one of your performances. I hope will be more. So before all these accomplishments and all the accolades, and we know that actually for our future and present, we can never go without our roots, without our childhood and their long-lasting echoes. And today for us, it's very, very exciting actually if you could take us a little bit backwards to your childhood and actually looking back which childhood experiences, maybe special persons, maybe special particular occasions actually shaped and impacted the person you've become today, the person and leader and actually Mr. Moody. Tell us, take us a little bit back into the land or small kingdom of little Svein, how it looked like. Thank you.
That is a very interesting question, and it's a really important question because that's where we are shaped. When we are kids, we are shaped, and we don't know about it, and we don't know how important that is. And I'm really lucky. I've had a really safe and secure childhood with very loving parents, and I think that might be the reason that why people, when they meet me, they say, "Oh, you feel so calm, you feel so secure, and confident."
Mm-hmm.
And I think having a very loving parents does something to you, to your um, um, yeah, to your confidence and how you see yourself. So I'm really lucky. So I compared to most children, I think I was really privileged to have that. It doesn't mean that my life was I didn't have episodes that influenced my life and changed me somehow, because I've had my share of those, and there are a couple of aspects that I think have uh, influenced how I have become as a person, except from having very loving parents. And the first thing is my mother. Of course, mothers are really influencing, and I had a very, very strong mother, and she, even though she was really loving and caring, she was very self-centered. And what I mean with that is that everything was about her. So when I was talking about something that happened in my life, she took over the conversation and she continued and said, "Oh, I've done that as well." And then she told about her experience, and then suddenly she didn't listen to me. I was not in the spotlight anymore. And I didn't understand that when I was a kid. I never understood that. I loved my mother, and so I never understood that. That's something I have understood in retrospective when I grown up that's what happened. And I think that I also became quite similar like her. So when I finally grew up and I found my spouse and we started to live together, after every party we went to, she said, Svein, Harald, we have to talk. You have to let other people speak as well. You can't go in and take the room. So if it hadn't been for my ex-wife, now ex-wife, I think I never had learned that, and I would have been quite an extreme self-centered person, wanting everyone just to look at me. I still do that, but I still have this empathy, and I'm asking, and I'm a coach, and I have a podcast. So I do focus on other people. But if it hadn't been for the change and what I experienced with my wife, that really pinpointed my weaknesses, I think that I would have been a very different person. But I still have that with me from my mother. And I had a father, and he was quite silent man. He listened and let my mother rule everything, and he was laughing, and he was supporting, and he was taking care of the family economically and everything. But he was not a very dominant man. So I think maybe that the reason I'm colorful, I love colors, I have lots of empathy, and I care about other people, comes from, even though it sounds strange, it comes from my mother, with a very strong mother, and that has shaped who I am. So I am. We're talking about courage, and I think one of the most important part of being courageous as a man is that you can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people say to me, I remember I was at I'm actually a laughter yoga instructor, and when I was on a course to becoming that, a man told me after we had this weekend together, he said that he was really happy to meet me because he was working with young men, and young men, they don't have very good role models. The role models today are masculine, and they try to be tough and so on, but they don't have the courage to show vulnerability. And he said, you both can be, you're a man with a big M, as well as you show your vulnerability. So you have a very broad spectrum of you are courageous enough to show your whole perspective of feelings, and that's quite unique. And I think that's part of growing up with a very loving family, and a mother that allowed me to show my feelings, how I felt. It was not a father telling me, "Oh, don't cry, don't be a baby, don't be a woman." I never had a father saying that. So I think the combination there has made me quite complete, if I'm allowed to say that. So that's a first aspect of episode from my life. The second is, and that really changed me as well, because when I was in 8th grade, I found out, when you learn about genes and strong genes, and that brown eyes are dominant to blue eyes, that brown chicken are dominant to white chicken. So if you mate brown and white chickens, you get more brown chickens than white.
Color,
yeah. But you don't mate chicken. But okay, that's a 9. But still, I found this really interesting. And when we left, when I learned that was late autumn, it was dark, it was a storm outside, and that day my parents picked me up at school. The only time they did, and I ran out in the car, and I was really wet, and I sat down in the back seat, and my mother was putting on makeup because we were going to a party. And then I realized something, and I asked my mother, why is it that you have green eyes and dad has blue eyes and I have dark brown eyes? And then my mother felt completely silent for a while, and then she said, "I'm sorry, Svein Harald, we should have told you this before, but Dad is not your biological father." And I was, and
How old were you then?
in 8th grade.
Eighth
So
grade.
yeah, I think 14, 15, something like that, something like that.
Teenager. Mm-hmm.
And my whole world fell apart because my father was my big hero, and suddenly he wasn't my father. But something worse happened. We didn't talk about that after that trip, so it became shameful and vulnerable. And I pretended it didn't happen, but it did, of course. So my relationship to my father, I was distancing myself from him somehow, not consciously, but it just happened. And even and since he was a very silent man, I mean, the gap became quite big. And it was not until I was at the officer training school 6, 7 years later when I finally told someone that my dad was not my biological father. And I started to cry. We were driving in my car, and for 2 hours I cried. And when I came home and met my parents, and they wondered, "Why are you crying?" And I told them that. Why? And they were so sad, and they were so sorry that I had felt that this was so difficult. And then we discussed it for days.
Okay.
And during that period of time, I understood the reason why. And the reason was that my father, he didn't want people to know that I was not his biological son. He was afraid that people would think that he loved my sister more than he loved me, because she was his biological daughter. So he felt shame and vulnerability as well. And what I have learned, and that was a defining moment actually for me, because that's when I decided that as a person and the rest of my life, I'm going to be transparent. I'm not going to hide my vulnerability. I'm not going to see vulnerability as a weakness. I'm going to see it as a way to open doors. And I think that changed me so much, that made me confident, much more confident in myself, because I'm not afraid of being vulnerable. I think that's a strength, not something negative. So those are actually maybe the two most defining things in my life, that I have because my family was really loving, but I have a very strong mother and not very strong father, and this episode when I found out that my father was not my biological father. So that was actually the two defining things that I wanted to mention.
First of all, I would like to thank you so much, really heartfully, for being so open today and honest, and for sharing your bold story with us. It's so deep, and it's so touching. So I didn't want to interrupt, but I got so many times goosebumps. And actually, I can find myself in your so many times when you say that actually you should give space to people to talk and really be present, full focus, and listening. And when I start my podcast, I even need to put here some special sides, because I'm like talkative machine sometimes, and I I don't I don't do it like consciously, that I want to steal some space for somebody, but actually I'm not a good listener from my nature, and I'm so happy for all my guests, for my little angels. They can give me even this lesson and knowledge, because I think in every interactions we are both students and we are teachers, and we can teach each other. The same like interaction with our families, with our parents. And I think first of all, it's so beautiful to understand that you've got this very special safe environment while you were raising, because your mother could be yourself, and your mother could be so strong a woman, because especially nowadays it's more normal. I think that the lady can take a place, can be like really strong or self-centric, and if it's in a good way, and I'm sure it was. But in last
Not
days,
always.
not always,
Yeah.
yes. But before, and especially in different cultures, it was like more dominant, maybe the masculine side. But they, as I understand, they gave you and provided this very special safe place environment for you, that you actually could see the diversity of all different types and qualities, and you could also kind of pick up and choose both empathy and vulnerability and strength, right? And you later could find yourself in these patterns from your mother and from your father, and actually turn it, right, like creative field. That I also do believe that actually to be so much open, and actually first of all to find how to open this door to yourself, it's how you should go first. Really, that without, I believe, this crime, this episode, it could be very delusional how you can perceive this world, because first of all we always should go inside and find our peace and harmony with ourselves. Without that, we don't know actually how to make these bridges to the outside world, because we don't know who we are. So this special episode which happened to you, I also remind me so much, because from our previous dialogue, that I have adopted two kids, right, from Ukraine, and they apparently don't have biological parents present in their life. But for me, it was also a decision how to present and when to present, actually. That, okay, I'm brown eyes and my husband blue eyes. They both have blue eyes. But anyway, I decided very early to be so transparent, to be open and honest with them, because I choose. It was very painful moment. I remember when I had to open, because they were adopted as babies. They didn't know, but when they start asking me like, "Mama, but where is the pictures? Were you pregnant? Was it painful for you to give a birth? Was it painful for you to feed us with milk?" Then I understand, if I'm now not changing, not open myself, it will be kind of more, not cheating directly, but it will be a decision that should be taken so consciously. But again, I think it's a little bit a different time perspective. Before, maybe it was not that often when people open about even adoption, or when you are not biological. Everything's, what do you think? Everything's changing now. People are more transparent, or probably social media, or a lot of sources when you can get information yourself also. Before, it was much easier to hide everything. It was just papers somewhere. But now you can go, actually, right, without asking me even. They can go inside, and they can find. It's better, actually, maybe now parents give the information, at least can write it, can make the source like more legal, more they put in frames, because it's so scary if kids now get information, actually everything from social media, right? So thank you again for sharing your story. So of course I can see very direct connection to the path you've chosen today, and I'm so happy that actually you choose to use it for something good, not just for yourself, to find the strengths in your vulnerability and openness, and honesty, being honest. And now you transform this decision to be courageous and honest with the world. It's your mission, and it's so important, I think. So we go smoothly to actually the subject, which is the main domain of this podcast, diversity. And then we are talking about diversity, about thoughts, about way of being, perceiving this world. And for me, like diversity and courage, they're like twin sisters, because without being courageous, without actually dare to be brave, how you can stand out, how you can be different, right? So they go hand in hand. For you to be diverse as you are now, you of course should be brave, especially in this homogeneous society. Norway is a little country, and we will be talking a little bit about janteloven afterwards, which I believe it's killer of diversity. But if we just talking about diversity now and courage, how you can see the actually interaction between them and actually diversity itself, or thought of everything, what kind of, or which role it has been playing in your personal and professional life. Thank
you. There is, if we go a little bit back with regards to every human being, we are very diverse when we're born, and we grow so that we are not very diverse. We try to be similar than others. When you get at school age, to be diverse, to be different, that's not a strength. And one of the reasons for us is that we want to be part. We are social animals. We want to be part of a group. We want to be liked. We want to fit in, and to stand outside of a group, that is really tough. And at Stone Age, if you were pushed out of a group, that was certain death. And it's the same feeling we have today, that if you stand out, if you are different, you will not be accepted by the group. And we do everything we can to stay in that group, to be accepted. And therefore, it's actually against our nature to be diverse, because we fear that. We fear to be excluded. And we have 5 underlying psychological fears that decides everything, everything we do. And it's a fear of being rejected. It's a fear of being exposed, that you're not smart enough or good enough or whatever it is. It's a fear of being laughed at. People laugh at you, and it's a fear of being of losing something you have, a relationship, or the more you have, the more you have to lose. And finally, the fear of the unknown. And all these 5 fears enters our lives and are very closely related to diversity, not diversity, being part of a group, and so on. So when we go into our adult life, and especially at school age, to be accepted and not diverse, it's so important. And therefore we all lock down all our urges to be different, to dress different, to act different. And I have a daughter, and she said, and she is different. She's lovely, different, beautiful girl. But she was not accepted by her friends, and they said, "Oh, you're so strange. You're so strange." And she said, the girls could give me this evil eye when I said something, when she was really enthusiastic, and so on. So, and she felt like she was drawn 2 directions, to try to fit in and to try to be herself. So that is a challenge that we have during our teenage years and so on, that we try to be liked and we try to fit in. At the same time, we try to find ourselves and try to be ourselves. And the sooner we find ourselves, I think that is a game changer. When you understand that you will not be happy if you're not trying to be yourself, who you are. But that takes courage. So that's where courage comes in. My point is, you can never be courageous unless you're afraid. So if you don't feel fear, you can't be courageous. So if you don't feel fear that when I started to wear colorful clothes, the first time I put on that pink jacket, I was really nervous. I was and to dress that and enter a stage in a pink suit in front of 200 business leaders. I mean, it was so
in Norway.
In Norway, yeah. I was really nervous. But now, for me, it's of course. I love dressing up. Why should you? You are a very colorful, lovely, beautiful woman, and you dress with lots of colors and so on. Why should that only be allowed for women? Of course. Do you have to be homosexual to dress like with colors? No. So since I had this safe upbringing, I have managed to feel the fear, but do it anyway somehow. I didn't grow up learning to be fearless. I grew up learning to move forward while being afraid, and I think that is important, and that is the only way we can do it if you want to have diversity. Because everyone that feels that they want to do something else or be someone else or be themselves, they will feel fear, but they have to just press on, even though they feel the fear. And as long as you grow, you will always feel fear. So fear will never disappear. You will always, as long as you learn something new, you will always feel fear. If you don't want to feel fear, it's very easy. Stop developing. Stop learning. So, and I think in the end, diversity, I think that is really important, because the more diverse people we see around us, the more it allows the rest of the world to come out of the closet and be who they are. And it doesn't have to be about your sex or and so on. It's about everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for actually also bringing your personal example. It's what I do love about my podcast. It's really the power of storytelling and authentic. It's just not we are like generalizing and talking about what people always bring the part of their soul and their own experience in diversity. And I've mentioned diversity and courage is like twin sister for me, which actually, if you have to be diverse and unique, you are already like developing your skills to take place, to be courageous, to be brave. And unfortunately also it attracts another part. It's like everything in our life, like mental health has two sides. So diversity, also to be diverse, to be unique, also attracts, unfortunately, the exposure to be bullied, and it's a huge problem now in our society, and especially for kids, youngsters, and teenagers. Bullying, it's a huge problem, right? And it's like you said, it's one of these fears, natural fear to be outcast, to be different, and then you are target for bullying. So first of all, actually for me it's very interesting when you put this pink jacket, and the first time those first times you decided to step up and be different, especially in Norway, because Norway, it's even another story. It's so less blended society. It's actually really not show of culture. We are not so blended here, and everybody should be alike, and again, janteloven. So in addition that you were like a little bit anxious, not anxious, but a little bit excited, have you heard actually any comments after you actually became like very special, the most best dressed man? Have you already were like, grown up man, have you heard, not bullying directly, but have you actually experienced any kind of not bullying but comments? Somebody came with some special spices, or it has never changed?
I have there in social media, of course, there are this trolling and someone commenting my colorful clothes, calling me a gay. That is the most common. But and it was quite interesting. A very famous woman in Norway, when I had a video on TikTok when I said that we all should come out of we all have a closet that we should come out of somehow. And that could be that you feel lonely. That could be that you are struggling economically. It could be that you are fighting cancer or whatever. We have a lot of things that we keep from other people. And I think that we should find the courage to come out, because when we come out of the closet, then people might help you, or you're not alone. And then she wrote me and said, "Have you come out of the closet?" she said, or asked me. And I said, "Yes, of course I have." "So you're gay?" That was the response. "What do you mean?" "Yeah, so you have come out of the closet and you're gay?" "No, I'm not gay." And I said to her that because she had been through a lot in her life, and I said to her, I'm a little bit disappointed that you should have these thoughts about me. I don't know remember the English word fordommer, but preconceptions, is it maybe, or whatever, that you are judging me and thinking I'm gay, with regards to your life, when you have been judged by everyone all the time in a very negative content, and then suddenly you judge me because of how I look. So I found that quite interesting. So it's very easy to judge other people on their appearance, how they dress or behave, or their background, or if they come from a rich family or they come from a poor family, or we are very judgmental.
Yeah. That's why the vein of this conversation, I found myself so many times situation, because I'm not native Norwegian, and I never can look as Scandinavian, and I was struggling. I still struggling to be different in Norway, because I have all the time those comments, and like I've said, I tried not to put myself in this closet when I moved here, not to be like in Norwegian this word, like to become like Norwegian wise for norsket. And then of course I have a lot of comments and judgments and a lot of criticizing and discriminative approach all the time. And particularly I believe, because I discovered I never experienced anything like that in other countries, because they are so kind of melting pots and blending porridge or everything. But then janteloven, right? It's still in the whole Scandinavia. It's not just in Norway. Just it came actually from Danish, right? Author, and then it's these two boundaries, like janteloven, which is still here, but I'm happy to see and watch now it's fading away a little bit. So depressive. It's really killer of diversity. And then to be unique, diverse, and stand out and be yourself. And what could you actually advise for our youngsters, for our teenagers, for our kids, how to choose actually more safely to navigate between this janteloven than you should be as anybody else, especially at school? And actually when you feel and you are different, you want to actually fight and compete and to be better in something, how to find the right harmony, maybe balance, like because if you too much on the other side against the janteloven, like me and maybe you, then we are magnets for haters and magnets for bullying, right? So how for these then young people to understand what is right, what is wrong? Here janteloven, here bullying, here diversity, be unique, here courage, here society which put you in all these boundaries and like really these boxes and closets, right? So what's your opinion how we should encourage our kids? Like I have daughters now, they're 16 and a half, and they also, I see they try to go a little bit outside because mother is so colorful, and then like that because Norway is not allowed. What do you think?
I think one of the most important things to do in our lives, and start as early as we can, is to start with self-development. try to understand yourself as much as possible, and try to understand not only yourself, but how do we, why do we react the way we do, how, and find what do you value in your life, what do you believe in, because the more you understand yourself, then you have a starting point where you can develop from. And I think unless you know how, what, except, for example, what your values are, like, it's very easy to be pushed beyond your barriers, or and so on, because you don't know exactly what you stand for or what you want to stand for. Like for me, honesty is really important for me, and if someone lies to me, I mean, then it's then I can't have a relationship with that. But if you haven't thought about it, and you have and really made up your mind, where do I have this red line in different aspects of my life, it's very difficult to meet the world with confidence. So I think to just start with self-development, that is very, very important. Secondly, I think you well, I do something. I have an exercise. Maybe it's a little bit early when you are in your teens, but I ask people to write their own obituary. What do you want people to write about you when you die? And I ask them to write it, because then they can write it as positive as they want. Just elaborate and so on. And the reason I want people to do that is because when they write that, that will be your life goal. This is what I want people to remember me by. What should I do now, today, and for the rest of my life, so that that will be the reality when I die? And I think that also do something about the direction you want to develop in your life. A third thing, I think, is to be curious and stay curious. When we are small kids, we are very curious. When we go to school, we lose our curiosity. And the reason for that is, at school, we have a curriculum that you have to learn, and then you are tested. But teachers don't help you become curious. Unless you have that one teacher that can that really inspires you, but most teachers don't. So your curiosity, it's fading during your school years. And I think curiosity in combination with courage, those are the two most important traits for a human being to meet everything that life throws at you. So every kid, every teenager, every grown-ups should really, really fuel curiosity. Curiosity is the best way to meet bullying. When people are bullying you, of course, then you meet it with curiosity. Ask, why did you say that? Have I missed something? I mean, just be curious why people are doing it. And then they lose their momentum. People that bullying you, and everything you meet, every fear you feel, and everything, be curious. Why do I feel it like that? So, if every young person decide that they are going to be curious, that will help them a lot to become diverse, because they ask questions instead of judging. Why are people bullying me? Why are they thinking that? Why? And ask, because it's not about you. It's about the people around you, the surroundings. That, I think, every person, except the people that are really evil and so on, but every person has the right to be themselves, and it's good. It's no problem that you are different from other people. That's a good thing. We need it.
I love the example. I can reflect on that curiosity. It's really powerful because, especially one of my daughters, she has special traits, and she unfortunately has been bullied all the time through all her school path. And then now, when she's 16, I can more and more have like profound conversation with her. And when we especially go and walk our dog outside like a couple of days ago, we turning back and back with through the lens of curiosity. Why still now in new school she can reach out with some comments, negative comments, sometimes even evil, and then now we already like put our curiosity glasses and talking, and then I said, Michelle, but you already so grown up, you understand persons in life, if they're happy, they never actually have target in their life or intention to hurt other people. Because when you're happy, loved, respected, you're enveloped with so much love at home, you don't go out to society, to your school, and try to make other person uh, miserable, or you give pain and would like this other person to feel painful. No, it never comes to, because happy people never hurt people, they hurt people. Happy people, they actually happy other people. So it means that this lady, this young girl, which always approach you with actually one task to make you so, well, to make you miserable and to feel pain, it means she has so much pain already inside her of different reasons. But probably everything comes actually for teenagers from the home, house, and family. That for her maybe it's one now instrument to feel not that much pain, that actually to see that somebody also in a pain, not just her suffering alone. And especially your target, because you are loved, you're respected, you have like a family and papa and mama who loves you so much, and sister and everything. So for her it's like inside feels so unjust, unfair, why you should have that when she doesn't have it, and that's why she hurts you. Oh yes, mama, it's like, it's not like actually it's about you, it's about her. And you can actually turn it on and even feel more like, not pity but compassion to this person, because if she was happy, first of all, at the first place in her life, why she would actually be hurting anybody else? It doesn't happen like that.
They
So
have
curiosity.
they have a big hole in themselves. Most people that are bullying or so on, they have a big hole. They miss something in their life, and so I totally agree with you. They're people that are hurting. They hurt other people, and somehow, and it's also too important for them to be seen. I think um, uh, if you're not seen at home, if you have parents that are neglecting you or are not kind to you and so on, you feel you have to be seen. And there are so many ways to be seen. You can be the one that fight in every free time at school. You can dress up and be the most best dressed man in Norway. You can be really smart. You can be the clown in the class, but they all have one thing in common, and that is the need to be seen, to be relevant, that someone, yeah. And people that are hurting a lot and bullying, they have found that that is the way that they will be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all find our own techniques to be seen, because it's so important for us.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Thank you so much for your input on this topic. And before we wrap it up, it's so crucial, important for me. It's my passionate advocacy to raise up question about emergent part of diversity. It's neurodiversity. Then we are talking about really my vulnerable story that I decided. Actually, I never hide it, but I decided to come, like you said, out of the closet last year when I was, after experiencing severe episode of OCD, couple of weeks in what we call DPS in Norway. It's not like really when I call it mental institution, but then people like this, but actually institution which helps you really for self-discovering development, and they understand that you have mental uniqueness, which I put it now superpower, but I never put it like this before. I have OCD, neurodivergence, and now I decided, coming out of the closet for international audience and put my podcast, which it was very funny. I could call it Pishkas. In my very first episode, I was in my pyjama in this mental institution, actually. And I decided to make impact, to show my story to everybody else, with one mission, that if I can help, if my story can help somebody to be open, to understand that you are not alone, you are never actually alone. There are so many people with different type of minds, and neurodiversity is actually just so beautiful and simple. As biodiversity is, our fingertips are different, and so our brains, of course, are all different, and why we should be ashamed of that. And actually, I do believe it's so cool that all these neurodiverse minds, they are so creative, and we propel the society. We do a lot of cool stuff, especially in this AI and the digital age now. But we don't fit in because so many institutions, rules actually against law, and they are made for neurotypical people, and people again that they should be just like, it should be conformity, it should be uniformity, not diverse. So let's talk about this, which is very, very often misunderstood, and especially in my country, but we can talk more globally. And what's your actually opinion about neurodiversity, and how we can make and create and build more inclusive environments? Really not like tokenism. We just talk so much about that in Norway, but about strategies. You are actually a leader, and you are also a role model. Many people looks now up to you. You're a very popular person, which can really make great impact in so many ways and domains. Even I do believe, like in neurodiversity. What's your opinion? How you approach it personally and in professional? Have you actually reflected on that? Have you heard about this term? Because I discovered it last year. Though I've been neurodivergent with OCD for 15 years, I didn't know about term neurodiversity. That's why for me it was always, I was like not good enough. I was broken. I was a lot of other negative charge words. But when I found neurodiversity, it was all of a sudden came everything for me on the right shelves in my head. As to why should I be ashamed? It's not my fault that my brain perceived this world differently. What do you think about?
I think most systems, they are built for sameness.
Yeah.
But progress is built by difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that being different and to build on people that are different, I think that will make us better. I've worked with people with different diagnoses, like as you say, neurodiversity, and some are shameful about their situation. And I've tried to say to them is, and I learned that myself, even when I really fucked up as a leader. I was a director, and I fucked up, and I was really hit the wall, and I was really far down. And after some time, I decided to use a coach, and he asked me 3 questions, and he said, "How?" And I was in real deep shit. Sorry to use that word, but
no, we are here for authentic. Yes, deep shit. Yes, it is deep shit.
It was deep shit. And then he said to me,
"In deep shit, XXL."
Yes, and then he said to me, the first 3 questions, and I call them tres amigos. And he asked me, "How big is your problem in the world context?" Mm-hmm. And then, of course, my problem wasn't that big. And the second question was, how many people out there in the world would trade your problem with theirs? And of course, a lot of
Oh,
people
I
would.
have goosebumps now.
And then
Yeah.
the final question, and that is a question that also you can tell your daughter, and I've told this so many times, and people respond really, really good to it, and that is, how can you turn your situation into an advantage for you? Not only solve it, but to an advantage. And that is a different mindset. You're
Mhm.
not only going to solve your situation, it's going to be your advantage. And now, every time I encounter a problem or anything, that is the question I ask myself: how can I turn this problem into an advantage?
Mhm.
And that is easier when it's just a problem that are temporary or is temporarily. But when you are you are different.
Mhm.
That's where you are. It's still a relevant question. How can I turn my difference to be an advantage?
Exactly.
I think that is the most crucial question you can ask yourself. So if you have OCD, and you, as you said, you have OCD, and you said uh, there are a lot of people out there that has experienced maybe a similar thing and so on. Yes, but how can you make that to your advantage? Yeah, talk about it so other people can learn and experience and feel that they are not alone. That is actually doing what you're what I'm saying now. How you turn this problem into an advantage. I had I had a client, and she had social anxiety.
Mhm.
So she didn't go out shopping in her city until 9:30 in the evening in the
Mhm.
grocery store. She didn't want to meet neighbors or people. And this had happened for many years. And I found out why. Because she had been a nude sex model, or even, I think, yeah, in her earlier days. And she was so ashamed,
Mhm.
really ashamed. And it had made her life as a grown up miserable. And
Okay.
then I asked her the same question: how can you turn this problem into your advantage? Do you think there are other people out there that are struggling, that have they haven't been a nude model or sex actor, but they have problems? How can your story be an advantage to them? How can you do that? And then she started to help other people that were struggling, and she turned this around, that her experience suddenly became advice, and yeah, she became an inspiration for people around her.
Mhm.
And I remember her called me and said, "Oh, I went to Rema 1000, the grocery store, at 9 o'clock this morning," and she was so proud. And her life changed because she turned her uh, abnormality into a strength.
Exactly.
And
Sometimes.
every experience we have, how bad it um, may have been, there are other people that have experienced the same, and what they need is someone to see them, understand them, and together you can walk out of this black hole together.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, beautiful example. I can actually elaborate more and more. Um, it's exactly what I decided to do last year, because I understand that okay, why should I experience myself that I can really help other people and be role model for them, and it always help us to help other people. It's how we also healing, right? By healing other, we always healing
Mm.
our soul. It's a very beautiful example. That's why I also like, I I'm going to prepare my TED talk, which will be from OCD to PhD, and it will be from weakness to uniqueness, from disorder to disorder, just different order. Like, it's not disabilities, it's plus abilities. So thank you so much for sharing this very special story. And my absolutely last thing, which again, I need to pick up this stuff for this special project, but okay, it's the time when I'm usually inviting my vice president here, and then people like, oh wow, you never warned that we would be three in the studio, and everybody believed like, okay, it should be another person, but no, actually. And then the moment I pull it out, and it's very beautiful pink, very gracious lamp actually. And then first my question I was asking, and people said what it is, and this, it's Aladdin lamp. I said, okay, yes, it is Aladdin lamp, and she's my vice president, best ever, never never dares actually to say against me, never shut out on me, and always say yes to my all kind of diverse new experiments, right? But also very beautiful because she always grant wishes for my guests, maybe not that generous, and in Aladdin lamp she doesn't grant 3 wishes because then she has no time to fulfill all wishes of my guests, but the one, it's always there. So for me, the very very last questions, if you can put your imaginary skills now, I have this very beautiful pink Aladdin lamp, which is my vice president, and she's waiting for your wish exactly right now. What's coming to your soul, to your mind, energy, embodiment, what wish that would be? She's here.
And,
She's in Paris
and
studio. I need to pick up her in Paris. She's a fancy girl. She lives in Paris.
and I'm going to tell you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me the wish for this lamp.
I wish this lamp will help me to reach a much broader audience with my message, so that I can help more people become more courageous and live a more fulfilling and happy life, helping others again.
Thank you so much. Very beautiful wish for helping others. So I can talk to her afterwards, that she can really, really be progressive on that wish. And I'm joining, of course. It's so beautiful, beautiful wish. Like I said, by healing others, we're healing first of all us, and then it's always loop kind of interaction. So again, thank you so much for being with us today. It was really privileged, of course, colorful conversation, and I'm sure we could see you and me. We are so diverse, many, many hours in the studio, and given a lot of nice examples from our life. And I'm sure that my beautiful audience, they have even more, I hope, many questions and wishes to be in contact with you, so you can tell, of course, and share the information where people can reach out to me. I always encouraging people to reach out to me if they need special guests who was hosted here, and I can connect, I can help. So I can help to help. So you can tell about where people can find, which platforms, how they contact you for everything what you're doing. Of course, I will put this in the post, all the links, but if you want, if any special message, maybe you have new special upcoming course or program or something in this new year, you have special plans, so please feel free. This is your stage to
I'm actually at the moment launching a new a talk actually about AI. And the talk is not about AI, but it is about AI, because I'm not an expert on AI, but I'm an expert on humans and how humans can cope in a world with AI.
Perfect.
Because now every conferences, everywhere, they talk about AI and that we should learn more about it and so on. But what about the human aspect? People are afraid. They are feeling that they can't cope with it. They are they are afraid that they can lose their jobs. They don't see the opportunities and possibilities. They see the restrictions and so there is so much fear. So what I'm going to do is to give people some hope.
Oh, you will be hopes. Perfect, amazing. Yes, I totally agree. Now this, wow, new upcoming era. It's all not new. Actually, it's just coming out of closet more and more about this AI and bias and a lot of domains. We really have to elaborate openly, especially with youngsters, because they just live in AI era. They don't know anything else. But it will be maybe in our next talk. So thank you so much again for sharing your bold story, your vulnerability, your courageousness to be who you are, to show actually that you really could turn on and your adversities into the advantage, and you encourage other people to do that so courageously. So, and today again, we could see diversity is not a checkbox, it's competitive advantage. Courage is not absence of fear, it's actually acting despite it. And leadership, it's about creating space for people to be fully themselves. Thank you for sharing your courage, wisdom, experience with us. And this was Diversity is the Game Changer. If this episode inspired you, so please share, subscribe, keep choosing courage in leadership and, of course, in life. Thank you so much again. And
Thank you
I wish
for
all the best with all your upcoming projects. Really. We will be watching you and hiring on you. Okay, yes. Bye-bye. With
Bye.
heart. Courage always should be with heart. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.